Our places right on time. So rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. This is a regular city council meeting for October 21st, 2025. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
quick roll call. Councilmember Pritchard,
Present.
Councilmember Spears,
Present.
Councilmember Maxwell, Councilmember Olson,
Here.
Councilmember Harbolt.
Here.
We have Councilmember Kennedy who's asked to be excused. I entertain a motion. He will be gone. He is on vacation.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Councilmember Kennedy is excused. Approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda? Anyone knows of? All right, accept the
Excuse me.
motion.
We turn the audio, it's not acting back a little bit, thank you.
Usually, for sure. Is that any better?
Yeah, and if they're talking, just speak out and put your head down. Thank you.
Is that any better? Can those in the back hear? Justin, can you hear okay? All right, thank you. He's the first one back. Thank you so much. Approval for the agenda. Did we do that already? I got confused. Thank you. I didn't know if we took a vote on it. That's where I got lost. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is accepted as submitted. Interested citizen comment, this opportunity. I don't know if anyone signed in, anyone online or in the audience. This is your opportunity to give a 3-minute comment. No one signed up. You'll have another opportunity at the end. So we allow 2 opportunities. Announcements, proclamations, and special presentations. We had a special meeting today. We took a tour with some of our legislative representatives and we're so grateful. Some could not stay. Senator Schossler was with us today. We took a tour of the fire area and some of the infrastructure things. We had talked a little bit about our legislative priorities and we had a great time, but we have some present with us who did stay and we're appreciative. I'd first like to invite Representative Mike Bowles, if you would come forward and share a few words with us, sir.
Where do you want me?
At the podium there. So there's a little microphone. It'll be barely above your head. Most people.
This thing?
Yeah.
Does it
It'll
come?
pick you up.
Does it come? No.
It's on.
Can you hear me in the back?
You
Well,
can't-
thank you. And thank you, people of Medical Lake. It's my privilege to be here. I really appreciate it. It's a great community to work with. It's been part of the 6 since I first got elected in 2016, serving my first term in 2017. I've announced that I won't be running for re-election, so this will be my last session and my last year in the legislature, but it's been a privilege working with the city through good times, through bad times, through the fire, through the challenges. So I really appreciate this working relationship. It's been fantastic, particularly with you, Mayor, and your city manager and your staff here. We've worked quite frequently. You've been over to Olympia a number of times, advocating for your city and carrying the agenda of the board forward. So appreciate your efforts and the efforts of the board and the community.
I wanted to publicly thank you for the work that you've done for the city of Medical Lake and people being with you in Olympia and seeing how hard you work gave me a new appreciation for how hard the legislators really do work. And when we had our $1.2 million ask before the legislature, we thought we'd done all the work that we could possibly do to get that money to buy Waterfront Park. And then we hit this budget crisis. And Mike said, I think we can get a transfer. And you led that with the support of our other folks. And he took that and came back and said, we're going to be able to transfer that land and get you the $100,000 for the closing costs. And so Waterfront Park has been gifted to us. And I just wanted to recognize you for your work, and that wasn't the only thing that you did. There were a lot of other things. But whenever we brought you a priority, you listened and you went to work for us. So I just want to publicly thank you. It made a difference for us. So thanks.
Well,
Appreciate you.
it's my privilege and I enjoy doing it.
Thank you. Council, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also had Representative Jenny Graham, but I'm not sure if she stayed. Do you know? I thought she was coming back.
Text.
I texted her, so I think she was.
Okay, if she comes in, we'll let her speak. We have a representative for Senator Holy's office here. Wilbur Savage is his aide, is here with us for the tour, and we'll take back our messaging to the senator. Senator Holy also has worked tirelessly for us and championed things like the funding for police services. He's the one who got that appropriation for us, worked hard last session to get the appropriation again. He'll be back again this time, making it statutory so that for henceforth and forevermore, we will have that police funding, reducing our police costs by $340,000 or more. They'll be adopting a formula as well. We partnered up with our partners in Lakewood who have a similar situation in their city with Eastern State Hospital and Western State Hospital. We're Eastern State Hospital. So anyway, they will join with us, and it will forever make a nice formula and a way to move forward and to secure funding for police services at those two state facilities. So grateful. The $6.2 million in grant funding that we received in the last 3.5 years could not have happened without our representatives and without the help of our lobbyists. And so, Emily, I want to thank you too for all your work. So, Sonny, anything that you want to add to that?
No, I would just say that, yeah, it takes all levels of government working together in alignment, the direction from council and the hard work that the mayor's done and the great staff and access that our legislators have given to us has proven very beneficial. All the great outcomes that we're seeing, none of it would happen without all the pieces working together. So
That's so true.
thanks to all.
Yeah, it was really great. It was so fun to show off our main street with our street lights and our trees and our flower baskets that are now taken down. But we got the idea. Beautiful sidewalks and knowing that we're going to finish that project next summer. So anyway, it was just fun to highlight that, and really wanted to highlight the work that staff did to make that happen, because it was a heavy lift and they pulled it off. And we just can't be more proud. So anyway, just wanted to take time to say thanks to everyone. I had one other statement here also. We had invited our federal delegation. They were not able to make it. They're having some challenges with the budget and the way that's pulled out or rolling out right now, and until they can get that shut down taken care of. But Senator Patty Murray did also send a statement. She wanted to be here. She said, "I'm proud of the work this community has done to work together for ongoing recovery efforts from the Gray and Oregon Road fires. From our fire departments who responded to the fires, emergency management personnel in state and county, nonprofits and local leaders, and the long-term recovery group, this community pulled together to support our neighbors in their time of need. The devastation this caused for families and our communities is among the most destructive in our state history. Last year, as appropriations chair, I was able to negotiate and secure $44,152,000 in federal funding that would deliver meaningful disaster relief for Spokane County. I know it's been a long road to recovery, that my team and I will continue to stay close in touch with you, all of you, so we can work together and ensure our families and communities have the support they need to get through this." I'm also grateful to Senator Murray because she did lead that effort, so much so that she called me on Christmas Eve and said, "We're going to get it. And I just want you to know, Mayor, we're going to get it." And I thought, how kind of her to call me. And she said, "We're in our last session and we're going to make this happen." And she did. So anyway, it pays to build those relationships. And again, we're grateful. Okay, now for the unfun stuff. We do have some reports. This is actually, I want to call first Justin Langers from the Sheriff's Office to say some word and give us a good night. Thanks, friends. to give us a public safety report in particular. And I saw you tried to call me today. I tried to call you back. I apologize. I was busy, so I tried to call you once too, but anyway.
It was unintentional. I didn't mean to bother you, so
It's
it worked out okay.
okay.
So I was asked to provide a little bit of information, a little bit of follow-up information of some of the incidents that happened September 27th. And so I want to start off by kind of explaining how with an officer involved shooting incident, Washington state law has a very clear guideline for law enforcement agencies on how those incidents are to be handled and investigated and communicated about, and how information sharing can occur. With the current law, the way that it operates, we in this region have what's known as the SIR team. It's comprised of several different agencies, but there's three main member partners, and that is the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, the Washington State Patrol, and the Spokane Police Department. And anytime that an agency in this general area is involved in an officer involved shooting, one of those agencies, one of those big three agencies, or sometimes two of those big three agencies, will be the investigative branch of the aftermath of an officer involved shooting. The involved agency is basically divorced from participating in the investigation, communicating about it, except for under a couple of exceptions that are in the law. The night of the incident, we can put out an initial press release with the information that we have available to us at that time. It's preliminary, it's not conclusive, and doesn't have the benefit of having the full investigative backing of what will later be provided by the SIR team. We can do a press conference, and then we, after the fact, we will announce the name of the deputy that's involved and the picture to the media. But after that, all the communication related to that investigation is handled by the SIR team. And so for that reason, I'm happy to talk about anything we've released before, or clarify anything, any of the messaging on that portion of it. But because of the way that this suspect behaved and had several different interactions prior to the officer involved shooting, I think I can provide a pretty good background of what occurred, what our resources looked like that night, what we had going on, and how we were able to address the situation.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So the first incident, and I won't speak to the fire incident other than to say that that first incident happened right after midnight. And the details of the fire and everything I won't cover, but there was a request for law enforcement due to an individual who ended up being the suspect in all of this, but we didn't know, obviously, at that time, you know, who he was, or what his role was with the fire, or what was going to happen later on. But there's a request for law enforcement due to his bizarre behavior and a concern for the safety of firefighting personnel and some of his actions, including reckless driving and things in the area. So we ended up responding to that initially, and then that incident worked itself to a conclusion around 1:42. The sheriff's office was dispatched to the address on Idaho Street and report that an individual had broken into a house and was shooting inside the house, and there were victims that were inside, that were trapped inside with the suspect. And so a total of 8 deputies were dispatched to that location. They arrived, they were coming from all over different places. 2 arrived relatively quickly. The others came as they were able to arrive. We had the assistance through mutual aid of the Airway Heights Police Department, the Cheney Police Department, and the Washington State Patrol as well. When the deputies arrived, from the information that I have available, they did not hear, there were no gunshots that were actively happening. And they were trying to locate and confirm the address and stage and walk in to address and take the individual into custody and make sure everybody was safe. So because there wasn't an active shooter situation, they compiled a small team and then they started to approach the residents. At about 1:49, one of the deputies heard what he believed to be a volley of gunfire across the lake, several shots, and he put that out over the air. At about 1:54, we heard, or that was when we received the call from Eastern State Hospital saying that someone had been shot at the location. And so there were some deputies who were still in the process of clearing that residence, making sure, because though we suspected there may be a connection between these, there might be the same suspect. We didn't know for sure if we had two separate incidents. We had multiple suspects. We really didn't know what we had. So some deputies stayed on scene there. Some left that location and responded to Eastern State Hospital, along with 7 additional deputies that went straight to Eastern State Hospital that didn't have any involvement in the original incident. During that same evening, at the same hour, the Spokane Valley Police Department was handling a shooting that had occurred at a party that we believe one person was injured in that particular incident. So we had 3 major incidents happening at the same time, and through our agency, as well as mutual aid help of the other agencies I already mentioned, we were able to address all those incidents in a relatively prompt fashion, especially for the first couple of deputies that were on scene at both locations. What we know about officer-involved shootings in general, whether it's a school shooting, a mall shooting, an office shooting, once somebody is addressed, once the threat is addressed, whether that's with a police officer with a gun, whether that's a janitor who tackles somebody, or sometimes even they've had reports of someone just like a principal yelling at a student who has a gun, and they'll stop. They don't really know what to do, and sometimes that will end. That's usually where that will end. They don't really think through fighting through the response. So yeah, what's essential is that we get there and respond and have that presence as quickly as possible. I know that was kind of fast. Does anybody have any questions at all?
It was thorough, I thought. Anyone have any questions so far?
Did I miss anything that we talked about earlier that?
Did you have a response time for the first 2 initial, you said rather rapidly?
So when I say that we're divorced from the investigation, I will talk about this a little bit. So unfortunately the security guard who lost her life, that would be something that normally our major crimes would handle, that homicide investigation. But because it was so commingled with the officer involved shooting, the Spokane Police Department took both those investigations because there was really no way to investigate one without the other. So some of the documentation from that second incident, or all the documentation from the Eastern State Hospital incident, I don't have access to. It's not in my system or available to me. So everything all the times and everything I'm working off of are reports that are from the Idaho Street burglary investigation, and I don't have the exact times. I have the dispatch time, and I know that they had been on scene because it talks about some of the activities that they did of grouping up with other law enforcement officers, making a plan before they heard the shots at 1:49. So sometime, I hate to speculate, but 1:44 or 1:45, 1:46, deputies started arriving on scene.
Thank you. And anything else that you want to share? I think that
No, I actually apologize. I owe you a crime report. I was out last week. I'll spare you the details about it. Suffice it to say that the family was sick, and so it went around, all the kids love to share, so everybody's better now. So
Okay, at least everyone's well.
Yes.
That's very good. Well, thank you. Any questions, other questions?
Could I ask about the family on Idaho Street? I mean, were they given counseling? I mean, that's gotta be just.
I don't have,
Changing.
yeah, I don't have an exact update. I know that our major crimes detectives who handled that investigation, we do make referrals to different resources. I know that city government reached out and
Did have a conversation with that family and they did receive resources and were referred for trauma counseling and yeah, there was a child there and so it was traumatizing, of course, and so they were grateful that we had reached out and had a very good conversation and so she said that she had received all the resources. I also, of course, am familiar and offered all of those same things too. And then she said she had those things and that they were, shook up, but they're ready to move forward. So,
Being that it was such a traumatic evening from different parts of the whole county, I'm still very impressed that you guys got out here and you handled it. And I just think you guys did an excellent job, and I want to thank you very much.
thank you for that. We
Yeah.
unfortunately we live in a time and in a world where it's necessary to train for these eventualities, and we actually had some of the very, very best training some of our supervisors went through for officer involved shooting. It's a training we're going to have hosted again, multiple sessions in the future that breaks down, because it's so important to have that time to initial contact. That's what you just need to make the contact. You need to get there and go. The training allows for supervisors and deputies to be able to organize themselves and quickly respond. And then the complexities of the situation, once the emergency is over, they can take care of themselves, and we have strategies for that. But running through multiple scenarios, making sure we have the tools and the people have the training that they need to be successful. So
Because altogether you had, Airway Heights and Cheney and the Washington State Patrol, so, and the Sheriff's Department, so it was well covered, that's for sure. Everybody had to sort it out.
And I did want to thank you for the quick response too, for the initial call. Because that sounded pretty volatile and had you not been there, I don't know. The fire department really needed you when you were there, and we're just so grateful. And you say you had 3 incidents, so we had 3 incidents right here in our town happening.
Right.
And so thank you. And so I was in a little fender bender on Friday, and you were there in like 5 minutes when I called, and
good.
yeah, so it was, a kid ran through a yield sign and hit my car, and he got cited with a ticket, and all that stuff kind of happens. But I was just, I don't know, I just felt good. I felt safe. I called, and within 5 minutes, there was a deputy there, and then he got called away and called someone else, and they came and they stayed until my car got towed. And yeah, it was pretty significant. I totaled my car, but it was, all the right things happened. So anyway, I'm just grateful. And that situation happened after midnight and you were there. My situation happened at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning and you were there. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. I will say that on our response, and I'm going to have to do some more digging on the response to the fire call. It sounds like there was another agency that was able to respond initially, because our nearest unit at the time that the request came from the fire department was coming from Roselia, apparently. So that's further than ideal on what we like.
Yeah.
Saturday at midnight. So sometimes, that's a busy peak time for service. So I'll have to look into that. But that the way we work together, it's pretty seamless with all the agencies, and we're used to relying on each other, because none of us are big enough to do everything ourselves. We always work together. So
That's right. Okay. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Have a
Thank you.
good night. Fire. Mr. Flock. Nice to see you.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens. Dustin Flock, I'm a Division Chief with Fire District 3. Cody's out of the area and asked for me to attend in his place, as well as the fact that I was the response chief in charge for the September 27th event, so I'll be able to speak to that a little bit. But first off, we wrapped up Fire Prevention Week, and we were able to get to the schools here at Medical Lake and enjoy that with primarily elementary aged kids. So it was great to do that again this year. Fire season is coming to an end. Fortunately, we're happy to see the rain. That's helped, but with that also means that burn bans have been lifted, and it's time to start dealing with some of that as well. But we don't foresee any major issues. But again, firestorm was late in the year as well. But with the way the weather's been, I think things are lining up to be done with for this season. So ended up being, I think, what we would claim to be an average fire season. So not a whole lot of big fires for us, fortunately. But we were able to assist other areas within the state through mobilization agreements, which we have taken that on as well, such as during the Gray Road fire. We received assistance from multiple agencies across the state, and it's important for us to be able to pay that back as well. So one of the things that I've been dealing with personally, and hope that maybe this can come to fruition, but there's a HUD grant available, and that's going to be specifically targeted toward the Gray Road fire footprint as well as Elk. So we have till November 14th to get a request for proposal in on that. And then the actual submittal will be later in the year or early next year, but could be some additional dollars for a multitude of things within that footprint of that fire. So on to September 27th. So 12:07, we had received call of a brush fire over at the grocery store. Resources were on scene by 12:12, and fire was completely extinguished by 12:36. Fire was out before that. I don't have the exact time frame, but completely extinguished 100% hand line. And forward progress was stopped by that 12:36 point. A lot of things had started to unfold early in that incident. The response was originally a very large response. We had trucks coming from Fairchild, Fire District 10, and a multitude of our own apparatus from throughout Fire District 3, just because of the high response that we were in. Crews got on scene, saw the size of the fire, immediately downgraded and canceled some of the resources that were coming in. Fire was initially described as a 10-foot by 10-foot fire. One engine company would suffice for that. They did keep our battalion chief, actually our duty officer that was on that night. They did continue to have him come in route, as well as the engine out of 4 Lakes. They were dealing with a individual that was acting erratically, was not pleased with how our crews were trying to extinguish the fire. The engine here in Medical Lake that night had two of our members on it. We had an officer and a driver operator. The officer got out of the engine, immediately started to extinguish the fire, while the driver operator did what he should do, and that's operate the engine. During that time, things started to unfold with the individual. He was adamant that our driver operator go and start assisting with extinguishment of the fire. But with the way he was acting, that individual didn't feel comfortable turning his back to him. So they continued to be face to face a lot. The individual ended up leaving, came back pretty quick, started just driving through the parking lot. And again, acting erratically. At some point early on in the incident, I don't have the exact time, but just remember dispatch time was midnight 7, on scene at 12:12. During that time, crews had requested law enforcement to respond. First law enforcement that arrived on scene was David 851 at 12:27. And then in the Baker unit, which would be a sheriff's deputy at 12:31. So the crews, after the individual left, initially said that the law could downgrade from code, so that would slow them down a little bit. But they did end up showing up. The individual was gone by that point, so they didn't have anything to work with. So leading on through the remainder of the night, the burglary incident we started to respond to, and law enforcement requested that we stage at the station here. The crew had pulled out onto the apron and they were waiting the green light to go and assist with that incident. The sheriff's deputies ended up dropping off the individuals here at the fire station, and they sheltered in place with the crews. Crews backed the engine back into the station, and they sheltered here with the 2 residents of the burglary. During that time, we received the other report of somebody being shot at Eastern State Hospital. That generated another incident, which was an echo call for CPR. Engine 311 then was en route from 4 Lakes, or excuse me, engine 33 from 4 Lakes, as well as myself. And as the response chief, I would be coming from home. So I was en route from the Spangle area. Engine 33 was cleared into Eastern State Hospital to assist and take over CPR on the gal from Eastern State Hospital. And unfortunately, we were not able to be successful, but AMR was on the scene as well, and we did everything that we could do within the power of the fire department. So with that, I think that's the information I can provide, unless you guys have any questions.
That's a lot. We're so appreciative that you're right here and quick responses and professionalism, and sorry that your team had to see some of that. But anyway, we're just appreciative. Thank you. Any questions from council related?
It's great that you had the family in, right here and under protective custody and sheltered in place. That's excellent. So shows the professionalism of you folks. Thank you for
We're
being part of the
grateful that you're
great team that we need.
Thank you guys for the words, and I'll be sure that I pass it on to the crews as well.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Did you have a question?
I do, I
Councilman?
really appreciate it,
Yeah.
but as far as the grant money that you might be going for the
Yes.
wildlife recovery, please let us know if we can write letters. That's part of that $44 million.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, Spokane Housing Development. Yeah, so anything we can do to help, you let us know.
Great.
Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Have a good
right.
night.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, committee council reports, council comments. So, Councilmember Pritchard.
So that is a good segue. We had a county housing development meeting 2 Thursdays ago. The first time they've actually had pretty quantitative assessment of their funding, which is actually pretty good. If you go to their website, they have what they call a CAPER, which is an assessment of what they funded. It was pretty neat to see what they funded, and what worked in timelines. They're supposed to, on that same website, you can go to the emergency, emergency response grant or disaster recovery home, and that's that $44 million that was granted to the county. And they are now open, and there's, like was just mentioned right there, open until the 14th of November. On October 8th, they had a little bit of a meeting. But you can always reach out to Adian Fritz, who's a nice guy, and some emails on that website.
Yeah.
But I would love to see that stay here and not go
Mhm.
to other things.
Well, the money can only be spent in Spokane County, so the
Yes.
Greater Oregon Road Fire, so that's good. And the, just because I did attend those meetings too, I think the first round is for the Navigator, and then the RFIs, which will be for the actual other kinds of funding services, are gonna come open later. But anyway, you can look at it and see, but
Yeah.
if the fire department's asking for that, we definitely wanna
Support that big
support
time.
that.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go meet with George Dahl on Thursday, some of his folks,
Oh, good,
to learn more about it, what they're doing,
thank you.
how it all turned out. I do want to promote that we have the PFAS. It's final after 2 years of studying the whole West Plains. It'll be presented at Medical Lake High School at 6 o'clock at night. So hopefully people can make it. It will be on Zoom on that Thursday at noon as well, and recorded for the interwide web or the World Wide Web.
What's the date?
November 3rd and then November 6th. And we have some flyers down in the office.
Okay,
Melissa Sandy. I think that's it, I think.
and what time, are they both at the same time?
On Monday at night at the high school, it'll be at 6 o'clock at night. And then on Thursday, it'll be at noon. And it's gonna be at Eastern, but I think I have enough students that are excited about it, that there won't be a lot of space. So it'll be on Zoom. We can do it on Zoom. And then I'll
Okay.
record it.
All right,
But I will focus a great deal on Medical Lake itself, because they were I guess, approved the grant. So we'll talk about lake waters and foam and bounding and groundwater and stuff like that, the modeling.
nice.
But through you guys, we were able to sample over 200 houses, helped a lot of people.
I'm grateful again to this council for authorizing the grant, that we could host that grant and have our Dr. Pritchard doing the work. It's just keeps it all close on with that. So thank you so much. Councilmember Spears, do you have a report or a comment?
STA is going through their annual budget review process. So we'll be opening up for feedback in the next couple of weeks, I think next week. So if anybody's interested in the STA budget, so much fun. We can get feedback. We're also talking about scheduling some of our new initiatives for the Connect 2035 plan. So we are one of the last projects for the last 10-year cycle, the 2025, getting our bus stop improvements, but there's more bus stop improvements, there's accessibility projects, there's low-income fare pilot programs. There's a lot of good programs that are coming up in the next 10-year cycle for the STA. And so anyone that wants to be involved, we would love to have your input. And then for finance committee, we reviewed claims and warrants and everything looks good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rathbone.
No report, Your Honor.
Councilmember Olson.
Yes, first, thank you for the dinner with the legislatures tonight. That was very informative, and it was really nice to see them one-on-one without having to wait in line or anything like that. So that was Public Works. The crew is working on the storm sewers, and they're doing the pre-snow prep, so we're getting ready for that season. And you'll see paving trucks all over town because the last of the paving is being done by Shamrock, and the way the season is run because of the strike that happened and is now over. Shamrock will be closing the plant probably the first or second week in November, depending on the weather. And you'll see Comcast and Xfinity and some of their different subsidiary trucks around town getting everything all up in the air and in the holes and trying to get everything wrapped up for the season also. And as soon as they get done, then Ziply Fiber will be next with all of their trucks and their subs. So it's a pretty busy time around town. Just got to watch for all the cones and everything. And compost bin will be closed on the 17th of November for the season. It'll be hauled off that day, so get there before that, or else you gotta store it all winter. And recreation season, you've got to watch Shepherd Field because there's lots of activity going on there with all the kiddos and the soccer moms and everybody. So lots of activity down there and other activities that we've talked about with the sheriff's department. There'll probably be extra patrols, making sure everybody's safe. And that's my report, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Herbold.
Finance committee met tonight. We're playing some payroll. I had some questions for costs that he answered, just trying to understand since I'm new on finance
Nice.
and he'll give a report of the.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. For my report, I did go over for the day. I was invited to spend the day with the Office of the Insurance Commissioner, and there was a group of state emergency management folks, all of the insurance and the legislative aides and those who work directly with the public as advocates. And there were other federal delegates that were invited, not able to come because of the shutdown, but it was really informative. They're taking a proactive approach. They've hired a new, an appointed new group of people to kind of assess how do we better respond to wildfire recovery, other kinds of disasters too, how it impacts people's insurance policies, how do we keep premier companies here, what kind of policies can change. I had suggested that there be a funding mechanism attached to insurance policies that could go into a reserve account that couldn't be swept. And doing the math, it looked like that would put about 500 million in the coffers. And also with the work I've done, realized that you can save about a year's worth of recovery time if the government comes in and does the cleanup. The cleanup is the most intensive and the most expensive part of what can happen. And then that is really what depleted folks is, the cap on their policy. So anyway, there were a lot of other really great ideas, but just wanted you to know that they're working in conjunction with the governor's office as well to try to do better and to try to keep people insured here post-fire and knowing that more disasters will happen this summer. We had some significant fires in Washington State this summer, so that's what they were really focused on. As I said, I had a little accident. I keep calling it a fender bender, but it wasn't. It was a crash. And I realized as I was sitting there on Hallett that it's so I just turned off of Lake Street and was headed south on Hallett, and it was the very first block there at Grace. The car just blew through the yield sign and didn't even stop, but had a distraction happening. But anyway, the point was I was sitting there for about a half an hour or more waiting for the tow truck to come, maybe an hour. But within 10 minutes of that accident, there were little kids everywhere. There were bicycles everywhere. There were school buses on that road, like many. And then all the parents used that road to get their kids to Hallett. And I was overwhelmed with how much activity. And then the bazaar at Lutheran Church was happening too. So, I mean, there was a lot happening. And I just realized how dangerous that road is. And so I came back and I talked to Scott about what can we do to get stop signs. There's only 2 intersections. It seems longer because they're long blocks, but there's really only 2 streets. There's Grace, and then there's the next one, and then the next one's Campbell, which has 4-way stops. So anyway, I would love to see stop signs on those streets. We talked about that, and that's something that I think we're going to go ahead and move pretty quickly on, knowing that that is a route to school and should be a safe route to school. So thinking about those things, just wanting to learn more about those routes that kids walk and the parents drive and the buses go, and they're all on the same road at the same time. So thankful that accident happened when it did. Had it been 10 minutes later, there would have been kids and bikes and I don't know what all there. And so I just really got shook up about that. So anyway, so that was a good thing that came from that. And I got a new car, which I didn't want to pay for, but no. Okay, city administrator, and staff. So Mr. Withers, what you got for us tonight?
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple of things. I'll be brief because I know there's lots on the agenda tonight, but I wanted to just share appreciation from staff for your input at the budget retreat. No, there was a lot of information. It's really good workshops, and the discussion was well received, and we're just very grateful for your participation. And then the only other thing I want to say is looking ahead, this Saturday is Fall Festival, so make sure that you're planning to join in on the fun, or I'm going to take all the candy for myself.
He already takes all the candy from his kids. I know it's true.
It's good.
You gotta check it.
It's a dad tax.
Right.
It's a dad's prerogative to take the chocolate. Anyway, thank you, Sunny, so much. I want to echo that too. I thought the council budget retreat was just excellent. And that was a lot of information. And I'm so proud of council. I mean, you guys are just on it. You're informed, you were engaged, you just asked great questions and gave us great direction, and really appreciative. Elise Rodriguez, our city planner, is going to give us a staff report. Thank you. And it's on our comp plan update and kind of the scheduling where we're at with that. So,
Good evening.
good evening.
First I'm just gonna let you know the planning commission currently has a vacancy, so we will soon be advertising for that, and we're expecting another vacancy from January when we have a person that into their term and they're not planning to apply to renew. So just put that out there. You should see advertisements on our website, Facebook, newsletter, all coming soon. But for tonight, this item, comprehensive plan update. So the first is in your packet, page 4. We have, looks like this. Quick guide to trends in medical aid. So this is basically what's been happening over the years, and what's important about this is knowing what's going on and would we like to continue in this direction. The related item, which starts on page 9, is quick guide to opportunities. So this is suggestions on where we go in the future. Not every single subject is included in these 2 items, but this is what's moving us towards our comprehensive plan. So any feedback you have tonight or another time, I would love to hear it on either of those. I'm not going to go through any of the details.
For your reading pleasure.
Do that in your leisure, Saturday afternoon when you have nothing to do.
Be the Harvest Festival.
That's right.
Oh, excuse me, while you're recovering from the Harvest Festival. And then the next item we're gonna go over, and I'll go ahead and start with that presentation, is this 11x17 that was in your packet. And it is our periodic update, review, and adoption schedule. Basically, my life for the next 12 months and part of your life too. So it's up on the screen for the folks at home. And I'm just going to point out a couple things about it right now and then go through several topics regarding this. So the first is on the left-hand side, we have the comprehensive plan. And then the majority of the table are development regulations, updates that we will need to do. So the comprehensive plan, in an ideal world, we would create that, review that, adopt that, and then move on to development regulations. But we don't have that much time. So we're going to start doing development regulations before it gets completely adopted. Development regulations are supposed to reflect and carry out the comprehensive plan, but hopefully when we get to it, we will have the information we need. We're starting out with amendment criteria so that our current municipal code does not have the best amendment criteria. And so I thought, why not address that first? So the rest of the year, we can have some good criteria for evaluating what we're looking at So for the comprehensive, yeah, let's see. So the comprehensive plan, I'm gonna bring forward in sections because it's pretty large. We're not just updating our plan, we're really replacing it. All these development regulations that I've grouped, and I'll talk about those groups a little more a little later. These are majority a result of the checklist that I had to provide to Department of Commerce. So I had like 50-page checklist of, and it's basically all the regulations that we have to adhere to. And I had to say, have we met it? Have we not met it? If we haven't, how will we do it? So a lot of it came out of that. I tried to predict need as best we can, or best I could, because I don't know exactly what our comprehensive plan is going to look like. Therefore, I don't know exactly what our development regulations are going to look like. But I tried to make these broad categories that we can add to as time goes on as needed. So this is a 12-month process. And our deadline is December 31st of next year. So it's really only giving us a 2-month buffer. So things never go exactly to plan, but I'm hoping that we can pull it off by the end of the year. And so there'll be a balance between the reviews, the feeling like you have the time to really see what's being presented to you and what is potentially going to be adopted. And on the other side, sticking to a pretty tight timeline. So it will be a lot of work for all of us for the next 12 months at least. The next slide. So I just want to step back for a moment on like, why are we doing this? Why am I dedicating my next 12 months to this grueling schedule? And why am I bringing you on board with me? And that we have these mandates from the state, but that's not really why we're doing this. If we only cared about mandates, we would just hire consultants that deal with this. We're going through this process because we care about the community and we care about the future of this community, and we want to say in what our community is going to be like. So all of these things, even though some are mandates, it's all about our community and how our community works and how those mandates work together with us. Next slide, please. So because you see me a lot of the time with different reviews, I wanted to go over, remind you there's basically 2 different reviews that I bring to you: quasi-judicial reviews and legislative reviews. So quasi-judicial reviews are essentially applications, subdivisions, critical area reviews, and these are reviewed against existing policies and regulations. So our current comp plan, our current municipal code, and the decision is always based on the criteria set out in our municipal code that our predecessors created for us. However, legislative review is looking at comprehensive plans and development regulations and either creating or amending these. And the decision for you is on the greater good of our community, not we do have criteria, but the planning commission will be the body that looks at that criteria and reviews it against the criteria. When it comes to you, you're looking at the greater good of our community. And are these policies, are these regulations right for this community? So the process, this is reflecting what's in the table you have on the 11/17. Is the review and adoption for the comprehensive plan. So since it's going to be a sizable document, and it could be 50 pages, that's a lot to review in one go. So I'm looking at doing it in 3 parts. So, and it's also, we're going to be going back and forth, Planning Commission, City Council, and it's for time efficiency. And for instance, when you're seeing a review of an application, it is normal just to go through Planning Commission and you don't see it until they're done with it and they give you the recommendation. But because you're the policy makers, it makes more sense to have you on board early on and get your feedback. So you're not getting a product and saying, this isn't really what we're interested in. So part 1 goes to Planning Commission, City Council, part 2, part 3, and then we'll start with the hearing process. So Planning Commission will hold a hearing and then it will come to you and hold a hearing and the first read and potentially the second read. And like I said, it's a big thing, but hopefully if we're all in this together, we can get it reviewed and get all voices out there and get what we want. Maybe not on the very first go round, but pretty quickly. So the next is the development regulations. So this one is slightly different. I have all these groups that we're dealing with. So each time it comes through, they basically go through the same process. So they start with the planning commission workshop where we're just discussing the subject. And then we'll come to the city council for what I'm calling the idea workshop. Once again, just to discuss what we're dealing with and what direction we're going in. Then we'll go back to the planning commission for a hearing, because at that point I'll have input from both bodies. After the hearing, the commission will make a recommendation, and then I'll come back to you with a language workshop. So at this point, it's not in ordinance form yet. We're still talking about the language. This gives you more time to make amendments as you need. So then after that workshop, then we'll come back for the city council hearing and first read, and then the city council second read and hopefully adoption. And I am honestly expecting changes in between all these meetings. I think that's just how it's gonna go. For the development regulations, as I said, I put them in groups, and you have, check the page number, page 14. You have a few pages with all of the groups that I've created. And each one, this is an example. On the left there, I have a general subject and then subgroups for that subject. I have the mandates listed that for the state RCWs and sometimes the WACs. I have the title that will receive the new language. In this one, it's Title 19, because you may recall as we update and improve our municipal code, we're trying to put everything from titles 15 through 18 into Title 19. And so then it says the titles that are requiring amendments for this one is 17 and 19, because we'll be sliding that over. And then it has some notes about those subjects, subgroups that are already on there. And on the right has the schedule, which hopefully matches everything in the table that I provided you. So why are we doing these amendments? 1, carry out the comprehensive plan. 2, fulfill those state mandates, but also fix outdated and incomplete code. So as we go along, it's just we have that opportunity to make things better. Why groups? This is going to be a lot. I don't want to present, hundreds of pages in an ordinance in November in budget season and have you try to review all that, because I don't think you're going to be comfortable with that much information at one time. So if we spread this out over 12 months, hopefully you'll feel comfortable with what's being presented and how you can vote on that essentially. So what are the groups? I'm not going to go over in detail the pages that are in your packet, but we have the amendment criteria I mentioned. Enforcement is code enforcement, and I guess I hadn't pointed out, but I will now, that code enforcement and street vacations are slightly different on the schedule because they do not have a planning commission hearing. So I'm waiting to hear back from legal for an absolute on this, but planning commission is required to have a hearing if it's related to the Growth Management Act. And code enforcement is going to be in Title 1, which applies to the entire municipal code. It will apply to all of the land use related also, but I don't think we have to do a planning commission hearing. And if I don't have to have an extra hearing, I'm going to avoid that hearing, but I'm waiting to hear back from legal on that. Same goes for street vacations. Street vacations is something that it's not a mandate, but we do not have any policy for street vacations. And so when those come forward, what kind of criteria, what are you as a council considering when trying to make that decision? And we have lots of potential street vacations that we want to have happen. For instance, our high school and our middle school are sitting on public right of way right now. So we'd like to fix that. and
Thank you for bringing that up. That's some still haunts me, is like, how do we dealt with some of that?
Yeah,
So,
it's an oddity. I mean, that it's, you know, mostly paperwork, but yeah, we'll get that fixed.
And will the street vacation will end up in Title 11?
Yes, thank you. Title 11. So that's why also I'm waiting to hear from legal. Is it gonna be, does it need a planning commission hearing? These will both go to planning commission to keep them in the loop, get some feedback, but if I don't need to do an extra hearing, I'm not doing an extra hearing. Then we have zones in general, affordable housing, specialized housing, transportation, subdivisions, impact fees, and finally critical areas, because we have to add a couple of sections in there that are not in the. And of course, we have to get all this done by the end of the year. On the end of next year. Next year. I feel like I'm already in 2026, so.
The county's critical areas ordinance, they're doing it right now. Is
Mm.
that correct?
I don't know, actually.
I feel like that's the correct thing.
Okay.
I mean, nice to have the county's done it with
Mm.
before ours, yeah.
I wanted to go over different rules in this process. One is so you know what to expect of me when I come to you presenting for a workshop or at a hearing. So first of all, I'm facilitating the process. So I'm bringing it to Planning Commission and I'm bringing it to yourselves. But there's a lot of behind the scenes, in addition to all the lovely staff reports you enjoy. I have the SEPA process that I have to do for each one of these. Legal review has to happen for all of them. Public notices have to go out for all these. In the newspaper, this is not site specific, so it'll be in the newspaper, website, Facebook, things like that. And then we have to submit to Commerce intent to adopt 60 days before anything that we intend to adopt. So you have this schedule. I have a much more complex schedule on my laptop telling me all the dates that I need to adhere to, so I don't get off schedule. So in addition to facilitating the process, I'll be summarizing the Planning Commission review and recommendation. I act as your point of contact for this, and I'll explain what our code requires now and how that will change with the language that I'm bringing forward, like how it will be implemented. I'll present an explanation of all our mandates that we're required to do, incorporate any requests that you have along the process, demonstrate the relationship to our comprehensive plan, describe best practices, illustrate what other cities are doing and how the language was developed. So then the role of the Planning Commission, they provide a recommendation to you, and their recommendation is based on public comment because they always have a public hearing, and they are looking at the relationship of the regulations to the comprehensive plan. So anytime the Planning Commission is looking at legislative reviews, that's what they're doing. They're looking at the comprehensive plan and how the two relate. And then finally, they have approval criteria that we'll be creating new ones or updating what we have. One of our first go rounds, but ultimately they'll always have approval criteria and you'll have findings of fact on how that relates. Your role, you're the decision makers. So you are creating land use policy and regulations, and those are based on the Planning Commission recommendation and the public comment, ultimately the public good for the community. I did want to say, let me see, I made a note for myself. For your role, I know it's a lot, it's going to be so much. I hope you enjoy reading all my staff reports and all the ordinances. It's really important that you read those and come prepared with questions and suggestions, because we're just not going to have the timeline to say, let's deal with this next time. We're going to need to deal with it the first time. And I do recommend watching the Planning Commission meetings and hearings on YouTube. You can fast forward through to the part that you really want to see, but I think that'll be helpful in you understanding what took place with Planning Commission in addition to my summary of what took place. Are there any questions about any of that?
You had a busy year.
Yeah, I will. No vacations until it's all done.
How did you guys calculate the expectation of 700 or 7,500 people? Is that what I read in your like looking towards the future? Housing,
750.
or adding some.
Oh, the growth rate, the
Great, yeah.
UGA,
So only, I'm sorry, I misread it. Only increasing by 750 people is what you think, so still that's.
So based on our current code, right, so our current zoning density requirements, current vacant properties. So we did the land capacity analysis where, you take away things that are unlikely to develop.
Yes.
And so that's where we did the 750. It's a shot in the dark because we can't really predict what's going to happen. It's just our best guess.
So when you look at the UGA, are you gonna change that? You're moving 139 acres like right by Fairchild, but 96, is that, are there?
Yeah.
I missed, I don't. When did that come?
So it hasn't happened.
Oh, okay.
It hasn't happened. So we basically, the county controls the urban growth area. So we are just having conversations with them at this point. So when they started their process, basically they took away all of our urban growth area and that was that. And so we are basically trying to convince them to let us keep some of the northern because it provides a good base for housing and we can serve well up there. And then in the southeast, that is a result of trying to provide the infrastructure and the connectivity to the Silver Lake area. The Silver Lake area we are not trying to address in this, and it's basically the way the RCWs are written, we can't. Like, it's already developed at urban density, which you would think like it's a given. Oh, then it should be in the UGA, but that's not how the RCWs are written. We can only bring in that land which has potential for development. Which is why we and the Association of Washington Cities are looking to change legislation on that so that can be helped. And ultimately, the problem we have with the Silver Lake is that we can provide water, but we can't provide sewer because they're outside the UGA.
That's what, yeah.
So that's what we're trying to remedy. Yep. Any other?
Okay, very good. Well, we ready to
thank you for your enthusiasm on this daunting task. I look forward to working with you for the next year.
Thank you.
look forward to being a good student.
Right, yeah. Learn
Thank
every
you.
day.
Thank you, Lisa. No workshop discussions then. We'll move on to the public hearing. We're going to open the public hearing, 2026 revenue sources and property taxes. The time is 7:38. Hope I got that right. Yeah. So what's
Good.
noted?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
So I'm here today to introduce the topics for the public hearing. As we've done this before, this is related to the revenue sources and property tax, looking into the 2026 budget. So the purpose of this hearing is to comply with RCW 8455-120, which requires City Council to hold a public hearing on revenue sources for the coming year, including the consideration of possible increases to property tax revenues. This also provides an opportunity for the public and City Council to review and discuss the city's expected revenues and funding trends prior to adoption of the property tax levy and budget. So it's essentially what's going to happen is I have included the proposed estimated revenues for 2026. It starts on page 21. And you can see on the far left the 2023 actuals and then the 2024 budget, 2024 actuals, 2025 budget, and what we currently have received in revenues, and then what's being proposed for 2026. So again, these are estimates. And the goal here is to hear any comments on what those estimates hold. And then additionally, I will dive into two presentations. So the first of which will be on rates, so utility rates and admin rates looking into 2026 and proposed changes. And then after that, I will give a presentation on property taxes, which will introduce the options available to council for that property tax levy. So, if you don't mind pulling up the rate presentation. Okay, we had a very similar presentation last year on what we were looking forward to in the rates. I was able to recycle some of my materials there, which saved some time. So essentially we have 5 categories to review. So water, solid waste, wastewater, the utility tax, and then any administrative rates. So for water, taking a deep dive into what we're looking at for 2026. So the topic with water is to ensure that we have enough capital resources in order to achieve the goals that council has set through the capital improvement plan. So in reviewing the proposed revenues, what I have here is a proposed trying to achieve 50,000 per year devoted just to the water restricted funds to prepare for future projects. So essentially that broken down by the 1,492, and I did put residential users, but that needs to be corrected. That is all users. After our discussion at the budget retreat, I expanded it to all users of water to make sure it was equitable. That amounted to a $2.79 per month to the base addition to the base charge. Do you have a question?
Are we counting the school as one user? The school?
No, so the school is complicated. So they have a per student FTE rate. So that will have to be calculated a little bit more uniquely. But I did factor them in here. Oh wait, actually, sorry, I'm thinking sewer. So water for the schools they're on a commercial rate. So
but as far as like for the total users,
sure.
I just wanted everybody to remember that we have the supply to the schools.
Right, absolutely.
Big users.
So-
Big users.
Yes, the base rates, since this is targeting base rates, the amount increased will not it will not increase dramatically for the schools. It should be a similar increase. Just setting aside enough per month to achieve that 50,000. Since we're not talking about an increase to consumption rates, which would be really where the increase would hit them the hardest. So they should see, not a very significant increase. So this is split across all users equitably. And then on the right here, I did a breakdown of our rates versus some of the other cities in the area. And you can see, so Cheney, Airway, Liberty Lake, Spokane, and Deer Park. And you can see we have our comparison in our monthly rate as proposed, and then the use rates as it stands right now, not proposing a change against what some of the other rates are for those cities. And as you may know, some of them vary greatly on comparison to base rate. We also notice that typically the cities with the lower base rate have a much higher consumption rate to kind of offset the costs there. But found that to be an interesting comparison to some of those other cities. And then for solid waste, it's the same topic every year where we have to keep up with our partners, Sunshine, because essentially the way that they calculate their rate increases is based on the CPI and how much it's increased. And unfortunately, the way that it falls every year is they don't have the ability to tell us exactly what that rate will be by the time we need to know. In order to set our rates. But I have looked at CPI, the same measurement that they use. And in August, we don't have the September's number yet. It was 3.2 for inflation. So I'm estimating that's what they're going to come back with and say, what they need to increase for their rates. And then on the left side, you can see they are approximately 4.91% ahead of what we're charging right now. So essentially, the citizens are being charged less than what we are having to remit to Sunshine. So my goal is to keep up with that and make sure that we stay ahead of that and that we're not continuously losing money to that fund as it has to sustain itself onward into the future. And then talking wastewater. So I've mentioned it the last 2 years. So when we endeavored to split apart the water and wastewater funds to better manage each enterprise, as well as comply with Washington state law related to those charges and funds, it was found that there was quite the deficit in the ability for it to sustain itself with the charges that were being charged. And also, when Sonny was digging through some old records, he showed me that when they first created the plan for what they were going to charge in 2005, it was $30, which was the exact same amount that it was in 2022 when we started looking at rates. So just noting that rate had not changed in 23 years. There's a little bit of work to do to make sure that it's actually recouping costs, because I guarantee inflation is not has far surpassed that, and Steve and Scott are both feeling the effects in wastewater collection. So right now, the goal for wastewater, the rate, is to ensure that it's not losing funds in its operational fund, meaning they're not spending more than they're gaining in revenue. And so what it costs as of right now, there is approximately an $84,000 deficit. So if we don't course correct and do something about that, it'll continue to spend more than it's gaining. And additionally, that would we have about 342,000 in the operational revenue, so that would last a few years, and that's a practice we don't want to go down.
That's without any capital improvements, without
Correct.
any unexpected maintenance. That's just covering people's
Costs.
rates because
Yeah.
we're underbilling them.
Right.
Beautiful wastewater treatment plant 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things break down. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And have, right, which is why we're focused again on 26 on continued work on the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, there's a lot of updates that have happened. Steve knows
Yeah, a lot of
best the
work to
costs
do.
that it takes. But I also wanted to break down the comparison with some other cities, same as in the prior slide, Cheney, Airway, Liberty, Spokane, and Deer Park. This study, when I went through and compared rates, I found that we are currently behind all of them. And what I'm proposing is on par with some of them, and nearly half of a few others. So not far off the mark when it comes to the market rates for sewer, in my opinion. So for utility tax, each year we have discussed a -1% to the utility tax. Essentially, we found that the 17% utility tax that was being charged had been kind of inflated over the years to kind of compensate the rates that had not increased. And the purpose of the utility tax is to support the general fund, because it's the overhead that makes sure that the utilities can happen. In looking at what it was covering, I found that it was still more than sufficient to cover those administrative services that need to happen. And so I'm proposing to stick with the plan of subtracting it by another percentage, bringing it down to 14%. And that should still bring in enough revenue to cover. Lance asked approximately how much does it cover? And so I did the math, and from an objective standpoint, our department, about 60% of it is contributed towards the utilities that it supports. And the 376 is approximately 60%. I believe it's a little bit over, but there also is more overhead that goes in than just the FTEs that are supporting it. So I think that it's an appropriate amount, and I think that I recommend we look at it every year until it gets to a rate that's a little bit more common. Some of the common utility rates are with other cities are 8 to 12%. So just a breakdown of what the utility bill would look like with these changes. So on the left, you have essentially the minimum charge for an average user. Obviously, this is based on average rates. So if it's commercial, it's a little different. If it's a different garbage can, it's going to be a little different. But this is the average user and the average increase that they would see. So you can see there down the middle is how much the increase would be for each utility, as well as the minus 1%. Which is factored in the total increase of approximately $10.33. So that person's same bill in 26 would be $117.28 instead of $106.32. For administrative, we looked at the various administrative charges that we have, and none of the departments suggested any need for change. We addressed a lot of them in the last 2 years, and so far they seem sufficient. All right. If council has no other questions, I'm going to hop right into the property tax presentation. Okay, so property tax for 2026. So just reiterating my point before, the goal of this presentation is to arm both council and the public with all of the information relevant to property taxes in order for public to be able to speak on it confidently, as well as council to make a decision confidently. And so essentially the outcome of this would be, and after the public hearing has closed, council would make a motion to direct staff to prepare an ordinance. And then the motion, of course, would direct the percentage. And I'll get into further detail towards the end. So just a little bit more detail on the timeline here. So October 15th, we had our budget retreat. I prepared similar information and spoke to council about these same facts, same presentation, and just providing information so that there could be some time to digest and ahead of this meeting and be able to make an informed decision. And then so for we're here today on the October 21st meeting, we're having the public hearing, and then council will make an intent describing the desire for that ordinance. And then on November 4th, there will be the first read of that ordinance that was directed by council. And then on November 18th will be the second read of that ordinance. And then the deadline that I have is that I have to file it with the county by November 30th, regardless of the decision. So this slide I found very fascinating as I was preparing it. So this is a breakdown of the different cities in the area that are comparable. Some of them not so comparable, but still in the area. And it describes where each portion of the property tax goes to. So you can see on the far right, and this is for 2025, you can see the total rate for property taxes for the area. So essentially, Medical Lake is $9.30. That means for every 100,000 of value, or sorry, for every 1,000 assessed value, they're paying citizen would pay $9.30. That's how the county calculates it and levies it. And then going down the line, Deer Park, Liberty Lake, Cheney, you can kind of see the various ways that the different sections are made up. So by city, county, state, school, library, and fire. You can see some of them don't have a fire because that's typically in those cases, it's because the city itself provides that service. So you can see Cheney does Airway, Spokane. So it's left blank because that's all incorporated into their city levy. And then county is the same across the board. State is the same across the board. But then schools can vary based on what those schools levy. And then same with library. It's all county, but some of them are they have their own library system, but all just very, very different circumstances for each taxing district. So dissecting that just a little bit further and also illustrating in a way that I love. So the previous slide that we looked at, essentially, it was, just a series of numbers, but what does that actually mean for the average taxpayer? So our rate that we levy on the out of the $9.30 is just 13%. So essentially, every dollar that is collected for property taxes, we get 13 cents of it. So that's really what we have jurisdiction over. So when we talk about increases to property taxes or no increases, or it means that that's what we're dictating. But it could mean that if the county had an increase or the state had an increase or school, and so the citizens are wondering, why did our taxes go up? It could be any one of those four factors that drove that, and their various property tax levies. And then one other thing that I'd like to discuss in this topic is how property tax increases from the city over time compared to inflation. It's obviously the metric we like to use for everything in the financial world, but how does inflation fare? So if you look here on the orange line, you have inflation that drives steadily up in the first few years prior to 2020. And then, as we all know, jumped up pretty significantly. And then on the bottom, we have the increases of property taxes over the years. So you can see from 2014 to 2019, it was a pretty steady, just 1% each year. And then in 2020, there was a 4% increase adopted that closed the gap quite a bit with inflation. So essentially, there was we were just increases by about 5.4% below what inflation was at. But then inflation got a little out of hand following COVID and jumped up dramatically. And from 2020 to 22, there was 0% increases. There was a 1% increase in 23, and then a 4% in 24, and then a 0 in 25, remaining steady, but inflation continuing to climb up. So there's always a lot of questions around what is the millage rate and how is it calculated. Essentially what you have in order to find out what the millage rate is for our city is you take what are we asking for? So what is the property tax levy? In 2025, it was $642,343. So you take that number and you divide it by the citywide property value, so the taxing district value, which in 25 was 545 million, and changed. And then you times that by 1,000, and that gives you the magic number, the magic millage rate. So in this case, for 25, it was 1.1785. So that is, if you referred back to that original slide, that's our portion of the $9.30. That's how much we got of that $9.30 per 1,000 assessed value. So how does that factor in, and what would certain increases look like? So as I noted, 1.1785 was the millage rate in 25. And then with the 2026 estimates, the county has said that there is a banked capacity of 44,777, which is a grand total of 687,178 is the maximum that the city could levy without a vote of the people. And what that means is, how did that bank capacity get there? Essentially, it's levies that were not, or the 1% that wasn't adopted over time, and from the beginning of when they initiated this and now, it's accumulated about a difference of 44,000. So additionally, there was a $5.7 million increase to the city's assessed value, our taxing district value. So what that does is, if you remember the formula on the previous slide, since the total taxing, the tax levy is divided by our value, when our value goes up, the millage rate goes down, because essentially the amount levied is distributed more evenly among the property value. And so what that would do is, if there was no increase adopted by council, a 0% increase, it would mean the effective millage rate would be 1.1663. And doing the math on an example citizen that has a $400,000 value property, what that would mean is they would have a total tax for the city. This is just our portion, not the portion that would be total levied. It would be $466.52. And with that levy, the city in total would acquire $642,000, just like last year, excluding any new construction. So with a 1% increase, what that looks like is that would make a millage rate of 1.1779. Which is still below the 1.1785. The total tax that the citizen would pay on that is $471.16, and that's an increase of $464 over what it would be if no increase was adopted, although it would still be a lower value than it was in 2025 by a hair. And then so what I've done is obviously not illustrated every single example, but I took the maximum that could be levied by the city, and that equated to a 6.98% increase, and then a millage rate of 1.2477. That same citizen would pay for the city of Medical Lakes property taxes $499.08, which is a total tax increase of $32.56 above a 0% increase, and that would levy the city the $687,000. So moving forward from here, obviously we have to hear from the citizens on the public hearing, but just to express what the options are. So council will express intent. They will motion to direct staff for the 2026 property tax levy amount, and that would be expressed in a percentage anywhere from 0% to 6.98%.
Okay, we'll hear from council first, and then we'll hear public comment. Yes, go ahead.
I was gonna ask that, you had the inflation versus what I didn't see, what do we have to keep up with inflation? And I didn't understand what the y-axis.
Oh yeah, I apologize. I should have explained better. So essentially, the reason that's illustrated is because the idea is the city's costs are increasing, right? And so you would assume that the average things that we're buying in order to keep up with our operations, you would assume that those are steadily increasing with inflation. And so property tax is the most reliable form of revenue because essentially we tell the county this is how much we need, and they levy it, right? And so the idea is how far is property tax outpaced by inflation? Does it mean that we can't cover our expenses? No. But it means how well are we keeping up with the theoretical, increase of all of our operation costs? Yeah.
So that if we can keep up with the, like the solid waste and the sewer,
right?
Then in that situation, like we're fine. I mean, we're doing better financially almost than the tax.
Right, and that's the goal of the prior presentation is they're like Sunshine and solid waste. They're saying, hey, we got to keep up with inflation. That's why they use that metric. And we keep a tab on that because we know that that's what they're going to come back and say, hey, this is how much it's increasing in order for them to fulfill their operations. So a lot is based on CPI. Obviously, it's not an exact science, but it is a metric that we can use to determine how we fare.
Any other questions from council? Okay.
Sure.
Let's open this up then for public comment. Anybody online that would like to comment, or anyone in the audience that would like to comment? Going twice. Going 3 times. I'll just add one comment, and that is something that you brought up. Oh, do we have a public comment? Catherine Carpenter. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Oh, yes. Hi. Kathy Carpenter. I live out at Medical Lake. Sorry, I'm not getting my video on here. Start video. Let's try it. I'm sorry, I live out at Silver Lake, and Terry and I have chatted this week about this situation. We all recently got our tax assessments for the next calendar year, And there's a whole program that if you did lose your home to the Gray Fire, that you would apply for a exemption for qualifying single-family residence damaged by natural disaster, which was a form 640117. It's turned out that a number of us have submitted that form to the county and they have misplaced them, which means that supposedly we were ineligible for that exemption, which there's a whole interesting calculation about how they do that, but it starts after your house is 100% complete. And then the next 3 years, there's a calculation where you have a little bit of break in your property taxes. I just wanted to get into the city record because I know there's a number of folks in town that within the city limits that also lost their homes. And in order to rectify this, this form needs to be resubmitted by each homeowner individually to the county assessor's office. And I just wanted to make sure that that got noted. And I apologize, my video is inoperative.
That's fine. Thank you so much for your comment. I did take your comment. I'd received an email. And I did speak with Mike Bowles, who's from the treasurer's office. And then I'll be connecting with the assessor's office. So they're aware that there may have been some discrepancies. And so they're more than willing to move forward and take a look at those. I'm glad you mentioned the form number because they asked me that today and I didn't have it.
Sure.
We will do our best to get that notice out to the public, but thank you. Not really related to property taxes, but it is. So, or not related to this hearing, but I appreciate you letting us know that. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night. One of the things we talked about in the our budget retreat was that to take a look at the idea that we're raising other rates to kind of catch up with actual costs, actual expenses that we're trying to cover, and the idea that we have capital improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. So we recognize that, you know, that's about a $10 increase. And 2 years ago, we increased our property taxes and we used about 4.5% of that banked capacity. We use all of that bank capacity, that gives us like $45,000, and it's 6.8. When we took that 4.5%, it was about $13 for the year is what it added to the taxes. And we don't know what the county's going to do. We don't know what the state, we don't know what's going to happen with schools here soon. But that was 13%. And so I just wanted to say that I was hoping that council would be so inclined to take a pass on the property tax this year and make it zero. We could always do a bank capacity in the next year or two and add that $10 or $13 onto property taxes. But I think if we focus on getting our rates righted this year, that might be the best approach. But I just look to you for your guidance. But I just wanted to make that comment. And so looking for a motion from staff to, I'm sorry, to close the public hearing. Closing the public hearing at 8:08. Closed. Okay. Looking to council then for a motion to direct staff to bring forward an ordinance. It's an ordinance, correct?
Yeah.
On the property tax amount. So we can take those one at a time and see where we land. Do I hear a motion?
We'll keep property tax the way it is with 0% increase.
I'd second that. Both of us would.
Yeah, sure.
Any discussion from the other council members on that?
It's just kind of what we talked about at the retreat.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate. I mean, we're adjusting all of the other funds so that they're self-supporting and not being supported by the general fund. Primarily, this goes into the general fund. And it looks like we're not going to be in any kind of deficit anytime soon. So I think it's prudent.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The motion then is directing staff to bring back an ordinance at 0% for property taxes for 2026. Thank you. Action items, we have a consent agenda approved October 7, 2025 minutes. Any changes or corrections to the?
It was brought to our attention that in section 6AI, under workshops, it was Kylie, but we know our own Kyle Tuig. There's the person there, so can we change that Kylie to Kyle?
Kyle. KYLE to it.
Yeah, the Tuig's in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Any other
We
corrections?
do like Kylie, but you know.
But Kyle will appreciate that in the future when his children go back and read that, so, okay. All in favor then, approving the minutes with the correction? Or did you make a motion? Oh, you wanna make the motion first?
I move to approve the minutes as corrected.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you so much. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Approving the October 21st, 2025 payroll claim warrants numbered 53041 through 53048 and payroll payable warrants numbered 30283 through 30291 in the amount of $186,414.91 and claim warrants numbered 5304 through 53049 through 53089 in the amount of $581,727.13.
So move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, claims and warrants are approved. Moving to resolution 25777, 2026 capital improvement plan update. We did workshop this at the budget retreat. This is adding. Let's see. It's updating exhibit A.
Yeah, 45, 6.
Uh-huh. One little typo there is that exhibit at the top of A has two E's. Remind me, Sunny, what we added.
So the capital improvement plan is something that requires an annual update. So this is all the projects that have been reviewed, developed by department heads, reviewed by the executive committee, prioritized, and then brought before council for consideration. So in the capital improvement plan as well, we did discuss it has the priorities of trying to think of the name of it for it now, but it's facility condition reports. So that's one of the new elements of the capital improvement plan is to do facility condition reports on each of the facilities that have been listed. So we have a better understanding of what those priorities are, and then the plans here.
I recall when we went over these at the budget retreat, we talked too about the renumbering, so it would make more sense. So you can see that it has the department and then it has the fund. So that shows us where the revenue source is coming from, where the expenditure will come from. So that helps us prioritize. And so they are prioritized by fund, so that we can track them. It's more easier to see, when you look at the chart, exactly what's coming from the general fund or wastewater. So, et cetera. And I was trying to remember, I guess where my mind went, Sunny, is what have we added to this that wasn't on last year's?
All of these are projects for the delivery in 2026.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yeah, so there was a host of,
The future.
yeah, there was some projects in the 2025 update that
Yeah,
did not get delivered in 2025, and so you'll see that they're repeated here for 2026.
thank you.
But you'll see that similarly with those new project numbers, that the last 2 years of that number is the year that project was initially adopted.
I see that now. Thank you so much.
And this just goes. you have a plan that goes out like 5-6 years.
Correct. We also have forecasted needs for the next 6 years.
Yeah.
Yep. And those facility condition reports will help us to be even more robust in those forecasted needs as we look over each of those categories.
I think of like our Complete Street project will carry over, one of those expenditures will carry over. The grant funding that's used to cover that is also available, so all of that will be finished next year. So that's an example of one that had maybe a 25 on it and will be finished in 26. So thanks for the reminder on that. Any questions? Go ahead.
I will move to approve resolution number 25-777.
Thanks. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolution 25-777 passes, adopting the 2026 capital improvement plan. I think we're getting tired. We've had a long day today. Resolution 25-778 security camera and light pole installation. Let me give us a quick brief on that, please.
Yeah, so it's page 37 of your packets, and it is a service agreement with Thorson Call to install the poles and the pole bases that we need at the locations that were authorized by council via resolution 25-766. But this is just the portion of having the poles ready to go so we can install the cameras. And just for reference, the county has drafted the MOU for reimbursement. It is at legal for review, and we'll be bringing that forward for your consideration at the next council meeting. But this is for the installation of the poles and pole bases.
Looking forward to that. Any questions? Staff?
Because the bid includes installing cameras.
Alright, that will come later. That's under review right now. The MOU for the cameras will come next meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Did you have any further discussion?
Oh, I was just curious, I don't understand the cost of just the poles. Is that,
So it's the fabrication of the poles.
Yeah.
And then the electrical wiring needs to run through the poles. The
Yeah.
pole bases have to be excavated, the trenching of the electrical wiring to those poles to get that to get it to a circumstance where when the cameras are here, we can install the cameras and connect them to that,
okay.
to those poles and that power.
It
That's what I
should
was
be in
confused.
preparation for it. Otherwise, we could wait and do it all at once, and it would still be two separate ones for the poles and electrical, and then ones for the cameras. We're just trying to get.
Yeah, sure, I mean, that makes sense. I just, the bid proposal is just, it's for the whole thing, it's 6,000. I didn't see a price for just the.
So that, yeah, the cost of cameras is not included in this.
Do we know
This
how
is
much?
just,
And before we approve, I just kind of want like a general estimate of what.
So the estimate that I got was 63,000. So that would put so we had anticipated 75 in total. So that would put it about 10,000 over. But I also, I think to Chad's point, it may be something that they don't need to install the cameras because the county will, but I don't know if that impacts the cost, but.
I just have a hard time voting yes if I don't know what the cost is gonna be.
Right.
That's the Chelsea tax.
Right, and if the county is gonna, so are they providing the cameras or are they gonna do the installation of cameras?
the county will be purchasing the cameras and installing the cameras. This is for the installation of the poles and the pole bases and the electrical wiring to get it there so that when the cameras are installed, we can plug them in.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
referencing, because I have the same concern that Chad does. They've included the price of installing the cameras. And I know it's probably arbitrary, but I don't know if we could get them to revisit that without the installation of the cameras,
I'd be happy to reach out to them and we can bring it back.
right? Even if it's only,
Consideration on the book.
even if it's only a couple $100, it's a couple.
Yeah, it certifies a hard time.
No, I agree.
And then they come up with a camera that they're gonna try to install, is it, because there was a couple formats of cameras.
12 cameras and one light on existing poles.
So the cameras, the cameras that we talked about, so there's two different types of cameras, the automatic license plate readers, I believe.
Yeah.
Is where we had different options.
Oh, that was the-
And we were gonna go with the Insight one, but this is separate from that. These are the, yeah,
It's just a park.
Yeah, these are the pan tilt zoom ones.
hand tilt zooms and the 360-degree cameras, yeah, which were Axis, I think was the brand name. But yeah, I will speak with the contractor to clarify the language.
Well, can we,
Withdrawal of the motion, maybe?
word either? Yeah, possible.
We could,
It's probably
you could
for-
also
or
move
for-
to approve
for that.
striking the install of the cameras. But then we wouldn't know the price.
Issue then is
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
If we just table this until next.
I was wondering if there was, I guess we're thinking about it's getting cold and getting in the
Oh,
ground,
started.
getting the work done in the ground is kind of what's driving that a little bit, but
We'll figure.
what's council's
Good.
pleasure?
I mean, would you be comfortable with asking them for reduction in price and going with what it comes with?
I mean, is there an itemized list that somebody had? Besides just this bid proposal?
Well,
For the-
all we have is the bid proposal, so I'll talk to the contractor and we'll come back with
All of it.
the information that, yeah.
It should say installation of county provided.
But yeah.
Are they
But
doing
he's
the
not
install?
installing the cameras, the county's installing the cameras.
They are installing the cameras.
Okay.
That's
I think Jim understood he was good. He looked at those cameras they had provided him. Installation instructions, so yes, I think he assumed he was installing them, so yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we'll chat with him.
Okay, all right, so you want to withdraw your motion then?
Get to withdraw the second first. Did you second it?
Who's that?
I think I did not use.
Okay.
Second.
Sorry.
So if you withdraw your second, I'll withdraw my motion.
Second withdrawn, motion withdrawn. Direct council or council direct staff to come back with it.
That's-
Yeah, thank you.
I hope it stays warm.
No, yeah, thanks for catching that. Perfect. Thank you so much. And there are no ordinances. We are gonna go into an executive session. It's 8:22. We expect to take about 20 minutes. This will be opportunity to review qualifications of the vacant council position 6 applications. Council has had those applications in hand for several days to evaluate them. This will be time for discussion. Read my little note here. Our starting time will be at 8:25 by the time I get done reading this. We'll be in executive session until 8:45.
And we're not planning to take any action after
The
that.
council is expected to take further action following the executive session. Once returned to the time noted above, then I'll be calling the meeting back to order. So we will leave at 8:24 and return at 8:44. 1 minute, we will go off the record and we'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah, I got one of those. Comes in handy sometimes.
I was like, oh, we can so.
Sure, actually, it was initiated in real time by council here tonight, so they provided them with the options that were available, so legally, the maximum that they could increase the property tax
Yeah. That, you know, it's- Well, I don't think it's bad, you know, if-
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, a minute.
We are back on the record. Regular city council meeting for October 21st, 2025. I want to go back to one thing. I ran up the stairs. Apparently we did not take a motion and a second on the approval of the agenda. I asked, called for that, but Roxanne went back and looked and there was not. I thought we had, but. So.
Issues with the audio.
Oh,
It interrupted it.
okay. I would like to move to approve the agenda as written.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion about that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, we are back after our executive session to review the qualifications for the vacant council position. And calling that back to order at 8:45 p.m. And then looking to council for a motion. We will take these one at a time, just a little instruction. We'll take nomination one at a time, a motion. If there's no second, it fails. If there's a second, we'll take a vote. If there's a majority, that person will become number one, then we'll take a second one. There's not the majority, that fails, and we'll take a second. So until all three are selected. So
Which you want to go to?
Didn't matter.
All six were amazing applications. Oh my gosh. I know having conversations with certain folk that come to the campus, come to a lot of meetings and ask questions afterwards. I've been impressed with Patrick Flaherty's, community service, coming to meetings and regularly asking questions. So I would like to nominate Patrick.
Second.
okay, any discussion on this candidate? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That becomes Patrick Flaherty is number first on the list, and we will be selecting three tonight. Entertain a motion.
I'd like to move to nominate Joe David Elise. I was impressed with his letter and his resume.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Joe David Belize will be the second selected, and then finally,
I would like to move that we move forward Lauren Abbott in consideration for the appointed positions.
I second.
okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Lauren Ray Abbott will be the third. Those three will be interviewed on the 4th of November. I want to thank everybody who applied, and all were well qualified, and thank you, council, for your decisiveness, and these are going to be your benchmates, if you will, and so I will look forward to that, and staff will reach out to those three and make sure they are invited to the meeting, and it will be a public interview. And so each one will take about 15 minutes. And so we have your questions. I've already seen some of those questions coming in, and so Sunny will compile those. If you don't have your one question in, to Mr. Weathers.
If you want that way.
By,
Yesterday.
yeah, end of the week would be great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. No emergency ordinances, no upcoming agenda items. Final call then for interested citizen comments. Anybody online or in person? Okay. Okay, Ms. Henderson?
I have everything. Ronnie Henderson, 611 East Ladna Lake. And in the October 7th meeting, I asked for a follow-up on the audit and was told we're still progressing with that. So do we have a current update on the audit for the city of Medical Lake? And if so, will the report, when you have your exit interview or whatever, will that be published in June Free or disseminated to the citizens where they
Of course, yeah, I'm sure we'll share it in the newsletter. It also goes out on the state website. The final result of the audit is a public record. And it is stated, it's on the Secretary of State
Right, but
website.
I'm just saying people in Medical Lake, and not everybody's gonna go to the Secretary of
Yeah,
State
I just
website.
said it'll be in the newsletter. Yeah, we'll get it in the newsletter. As far as progress, it is continuing. And so, Cost, I don't know if you have
Let's take a
any
look.
update, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any updates. My auditor has been on vacation for the last week, so I haven't heard anything from them. But it's getting close. And then there will be an exit interview that they do. I'm trying to recall if it's just council members that are invited. I'm trying to recall the process, but there is an exit interview that occurs. And then also I always follow up and do some comments on the results once it's closed. So
All right,
Yeah, and we will give those results at a council meeting too. So,
thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Any other comment? Mr. Roberson?
Mary Robertson, resident of Medical. I did notice that the city finally is adding the 2 missing CAO sections, which the city was told about in early 2023, but chose to ignore in violation of the city's comp plan and GMO in order to be in compliance with the state so they could ask for grants. I have public records to prove this. Isn't it lucky that this was not an undergraduate, graduate level project? If it was, the city officials, city council, and the mayor would have failed miserably by turning in an incomplete project. Just wondering where the city's integrity was in all of this. Thank you. Mika.
Any further comments? Anyone online? All right, thank you all for coming. It was a long night and we appreciate your participation. Entertaining a motion to adjourn.
Move to conclude.
Conclude. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You can stay all night.
You can oppose, but you can't stay here.
You can check out the you like.